Welcome to Tony Tone Barbecue. I'm Tony. It's 7 o'clock. I just got home a little while ago and I thought I want to cook up this delicious looking tri-tip here that I just got pre-seasoned. I probably should have shown you that, but I didn't. I'm going to show you how to cook it on a 22-inch Weber Kettle. This right here is the Weber Master Touch. So first thing we need to do is we got to get the kettle prepped up and heated up so we can start cooking. So let me show you how to do the whole process. Here we go. All right, as I said, it is 7 o'clock, 7:01 there on the little Thermo Pro clock. And Weber Kettle, first thing we need to do, actually season the tri-tip, but we already did that. Next thing we're gonna do is get some coals going here. We'll set that aside here. We're gonna take the grate out. And I always forget this part, but if you're gonna hang this grate, you gotta make sure you take out the centerpiece or it falls on the ground and you look like a dork. So we'll stick that there for now. And I'll stick that there for now. And we're gonna go ahead and load this up with a chimney full of some Kingsford charcoal. All right, it is now 7:05 and I've wadded up all my past due bills and collection letters here into the bottom of this Weber Rapid Fire chimney charcoal starter. And let's go ahead and dump some charcoal in here. We're gonna fill this all the way up to the top. That works for me. And take my cool little lighter here. That's my phone, not my lighter. Where is it? There it is. All right, lighter. And let's burn it up. All right, we'll get that paper lid. Of course, you can use a Tumbleweed starter or paper towels with a little vegetable oil. A little olive oil works really well too. I just happen to have plenty of this leftover garbage paper, so I like to wad it up and get rid of it that way. So this charcoal will be lit up and ready to go in about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, while the charcoal's heating up, I want to show you something about the air control on the Weber Kettle. Come on in closer. I want to show you something right here. Down inside the kettle is this 3-bladed device here, and what this does is it controls the airflow. There's a lever down below, and when I move the lever all the way over this way, it closes it completely. You see the holes? And then when up here, still we're good. And then as I move it over, the holes are open, allowing air to flow in. But this also is used to sweep the ash out of the inside of the cooking barrel here. So when you're done cooking, you go back and forth like this, and it shoves the ashes down those holes so you can clean them out. Now, if you notice something, I want to show you something. So there's closed. Come on over here to the lever. Now, here's the lever. And if we move this lever to about halfway, so it's in line with the lever down here below, this handle for the ash pan, come up in here and have a look. And you can see that it is all the way wide open. But let's go back to the lever. If we keep on going, we can notice we can keep moving the lever this way. Well, we're still completely wide open inside here. So keep focus here. I'm gonna move the lever back halfway, and you see we're still open, and it's not until we go past halfway that we start closing off the air. So what I did to help me remember where to place the lever when I'm cooking so I can have better control of the air is I wrote numbers down here underneath these holes in this device here. So there's if you can see it, there's a 0 right there. So that's fully closed. And 1 is barely open, and 2 is about quarter open, 3 is about half open, and 4 is all the way wide open. So let me show you what that looks like. We're back to 0 now. Come on up and have a look inside here. So here is what 1 looks like, and you can see it's barely open there. So that's what you're gonna do if you're doing some really slow and low cooking for a long period of time and you want to really keep the airflow down. And here is setting 2, and you can see now we're approaching about a quarter, maybe halfway open, and here's 3, we're almost all the way open here. It's just a little bit closed off here, and then there's 4, wide open. The vents are fully exposed. That just helps me, by putting those numbers there, know where to put that lever. So that's it. Hope that helps. All right, time 7:24, and the charcoal is looking good. I want to show you something right here. Come down to lower. I kind of use these holes on the side of the container here, like the bars on your cell phone. All right, when we get to the top, we're good to go. Okay, so can you hear me now? Let's get this into the kettle. All right. Now, I'm gonna want all this charcoal over here to this side only, so I've got this little divider here that comes with this. I'm gonna dump that right there. Anything that was on the top of the chimney starter here that wasn't lit up is now buried underneath there, and it's gonna be lit up here in just a second. And Really don't even need this. We're in good shape. I'm just gonna level them out a little bit here. There we go. That's it. And take my grate and get that in place. And I'm gonna let the grate get nice and hot. I'm gonna come back and scrub and clean that up a little bit. And so in just like another 5 minutes or so, we're gonna be ready to cook. So I'm gonna clean that up, spin it, clean it up, and then it's time to cook. Okay, time now, 7:27. And grates have been cleaned up. Everything's really hot here. That fire is burning super hot. So what I need to do now, it's burning way hotter than I'm gonna start cooking this tri-tip at, is I'm gonna go ahead and down here, I'm gonna move the air control lever here all the way over to setting number 1. I want that charcoal to be choked down so it starts burning much more mellow than it's burning right now. Up top here, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one off to also down to about 25% here. And that's gonna really slow down the airflow and tame that charcoal, because I'm gonna start off by cooking this tri-tip at a lower temperature, and I'm going to cook at a low temperature way over here away from the charcoal until it reaches an internal temperature of about 115, and then I'm gonna move it directly over the heat, sear it up on the outside. It's gonna be looking beautiful. Here we go. All right, so this is the tri-tip we're gonna be cooking. This bad boy weighs about 5 pounds. It was untrimmed, so I trimmed it off myself and left a good amount, a little bit of fat on it here. So my goal is to get about a medium rare to rare tri-tip. I kind of like it a little bit on the rarer side. So I'm gonna shoot for a final cooking temperature of about 125. So to do that, I'm gonna cook it at a lower temperature away from the coals until it reaches an internal temperature 10 degrees lower than my target temperature. So remember that part, okay? If your target temperature is 145 degrees, like medium, then you're gonna wanna cook it until it gets to 135, 10 degrees less. And then we're gonna move it directly over the coals, and we're gonna let it catch on fire. We're gonna let it sear up a little bit on the outside so we get a nice looking, dark, crispy crust on the outside without too much of well done meat on the inside. So to monitor the temperature, I'm gonna be using my little Temp Spike Pro here, which will transmit the signal to my phone, so I don't got any wire sticking out of the kettle here. And I want to make sure the probe tip is right in the kind of fattest part of the meat here. So I'm gonna go right in from the side and just poke it right down in there. And hopefully it's centered enough to where I'm gonna get an accurate reading. And we're looking good there. So time-wise, it is now 7:33. So let's see how long this thing takes to get to that temperature. There we go. I'm gonna put this on the grill with the thickest side of the tri-tip. It's kind of thin here, kind of thin here. I want the thickest side here closest to the fire, so that way the other ends don't overcook too much. All right, Sean, come around over so we see. There we go. So we got a position like that. Thickest part right here, closest to the coals, and let's get this lid down. Also, I'm gonna turn the lid over here so that way the vent, I'm gonna close it off a little bit more so it's almost all the way closed. The vent is now over here. The coals, back up a little bit so we can see here, the coals are over here on this side, so that way as the heat comes up from those coals, it's gonna kind of want to travel over this way to the vents, and we just get a nice little flow of air in there. So now we just have to wait, okay? We're starting off at 49 degree internal temperature right now, and we'll have an update for you here soon. I'm gonna start looking at the temperature on my phone. I'll show you what that looks like real quick here. Open up the Thermo Pro app, and there we go. Hey, look at that, it's already set to tri-tip. So it's gonna show, there it is, 48 degrees right now. We're gonna keep an eye on that. Okay, progress report. It is now 8 o'clock, and the internal temperature of our tri-tip is 82 degrees, and it's also showing an ambient temperature by the reading on that probe of 282 degrees, which is pretty low. If you look over here, the gauge on top of the Weber Kettle is showing closer to 400 degrees. Well, that's because this temperature probe is directly over the coals. So we know the coals are still cooking. It's still plenty hot in there, but I want to let it die out all the way, and I'm not going to open the lid either. So I'm just going to open up the exhaust vent here just a little bit so it's about halfway. And down here, I'm going to go ahead and open up the air intake to number 2 there. And we're going to leave it at that until we are at our target temperature of 115, okay? All right, time-wise, now it is 8:24. If you can see that here, get the light button, there we go, 8:24. Temperature-wise, we are at 113 degrees internal temperature, and I set it to set an alarm off at 115, so we'll probably hear that in a second. 114, we're almost there. I want to take a second real quick to thank a couple of people. First of all, Wyoming, My Life Wyoming. Hey, thank you so much. And Chris also, thank you so much for the super likes or the super thanks, whatever it's called. I really appreciate that. Every little bit of dollar donation this channel gets just makes a huge difference to me, and it blows me away every time I get one of these. For those of you who don't know, a super thanks is an actual monetary contribution to the channel. So I really appreciate that you appreciate what I'm doing here for you by providing this information. So again, thank you so much. I love reading your comments too. You guys are the best. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for all your likes and comments and shares, subscribes, and all that fun stuff. I really appreciate you. So, okay, we're at 114. Alarm's gonna go off in a second, and I wanna get this fire to start cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the top vent wide open, which that's one of the nice things I like about the Master Touch model here is it's got a little plastic tab here. I can actually touch that. And then down here below, I'm gonna go ahead and open this one all the way up here to number 5 here. So that is wide open, or number 4, I guess it is. And we're just gonna wait. There it is. We're at 115 degrees, and my phone over here is going off. Get that off. And I'm gonna take this lid up here. And now what we wanna do is we wanna let this charcoal, there it goes again, that one. Ah! There we go. All right, so now this charcoal, you can see down here, we still got a lot of red hot charcoal right here on the side. That's excellent. That's just gonna get even hotter as I leave the lid off and I leave the bottom vent wide open. And now the tri-tip over here, it's 115 degrees internal temperature. And I know that you're probably wondering, you're gonna ask, what did I season it with? I'll show you. I love, and I don't normally promote prepackaged seasonings because I like to do a lot of salt and pepper and make my own rubs. But this right here, Pappy's Original, this is the spicy version. This stuff is phenomenal on a tri-tip. I always put this stuff on my tri-tips, almost always. I start off by rubbing down a little bit of olive oil, and then I coat it nicely with the Pappy's, and it is fantastic on a tri-tip. It's my favorite, so I'll share that with you. Anything that you see here, there will be links in the description of this video, so you can check there for links to Pappy's, for links to stuff like the Thermo Pro. This my knife here, you'll see here in a second. This is the Doll Strong Samurai Shogun series knife. It's freaking awesome. I love it. So all we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take this tri-tip here, and we're going to move it over directly over the coals. And I'm going to let you, maybe you can hear some of that sizzle. It's just going to get hotter. And all we're going to do is let that fire kind of really catch going. As it sits here over those coals, that fat that's on the bottom side here, there's quite a decent little layer of fat on the bottom side of this tri-tip. That's going to start dripping into those coals, and it's going to make it flare up, and it's going to get even hotter. So it's going to take, I don't know, a couple minutes aside. I'm just going to let it start to flare up here in a second. We're going to roll it around over those hot coals and get this nice and blackened on the outside, just not burnt. So this right here is where we're just going to kind of carefully keep an eye on things. So let's see what happens. Hey Packer, where's your buddy? All right, you can see there we've got some flames starting to come up now. That's because the fat is dripping off that tri-tip into the coals, and it's just getting hotter and hotter, and we're gonna start getting more and more flames. Gonna let that flame work on the surface of the tri-tip for just a few more seconds. I'm gonna roll it over, and I'm gonna start this process of just kind of rolling it around in those flames a little bit. Gotta be careful not to scrape off too much of the rub that's on there, so I'm gonna use a combination of my tongs and my spatula here just to gently roll it over. There we go. See if we got a nice little bit of char piece right here in the middle. That's nice. Oh, that smells. That smells good. Yes. And I wanna get it a little bit away from that aggressive flame that's right there on the grate. Time, it's only 8:31 now, so it's only been a couple minutes. Let's just kind of roll it over. Let's kind of go ahead and roll it over a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put the edge of it over the fire for a minute. Yeah, roll it over here back to that side and kind of go over here on the other end. There we go. I just hold that there for a few seconds. Nice, and I'm going to go ahead and move it back over here so that I'm going to flip it around. This 5-pound chunk of meat's kind of heavy. There we go. Let's have a look at the temperature. We've come up to 121 degrees there. All right, we are at 122.5 degrees, and I'm gonna keep cooking until it hits 125. I'm just gonna keep rolling it around here in the flames. Yeah, that's looking really nice. Good color, firmed up on the outside, not too black yet or anything. We're looking real good. Yeah, let's go and flip it over to the other side again. There we go. Gonna move it back a little bit here just to give that tip a little bit of distance from the fire. All right, we've only got about 1 degree left to go. Let me just roll over one more time here. Gosh, we're looking good. We're almost there. We're at 120. There it is, 125. Let's go ahead and, you see we've got flames really going crazy now because that fat is really starting to drip off there. So roll that over. That looks beautiful. Look at that. Let it get a little extra char there on the other side. Yeah, we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off now. There we go. I'm gonna put this over here on my tray that I've lined with aluminum foil. And we're gonna let this rest for about 15 minutes before we carve into it. All right, as you can see here in the Weber Kettle, there's still a lot of good charcoal down in there. We're gonna go ahead and save that charcoal, and we're gonna shut down this kettle. We're gonna put the lid on it. Gonna close the vent all the way to where it's fully closed up top, and the intake vent down below, I'm gonna take this lever, move it all the way over to the 0 mark, and now it is fully closed. That's gonna choke off the air, and those coals are going to die out, and I'll be able to save those to use them for a future cook. All right, time. It is now 8:53, and it's been resting for 10, 15 minutes, somewhere in there. Temperature, it's come up to 137 degrees. That's called carryover temp cooking. What happens is the outside is super hot because it was getting rolled around in those flames, and after you take it off the flames, even though the internal temperature is only at 125, the outside temperature is going to keep bringing that internal temperature up a little bit, so keep that in mind. So 135 is medium rare. So I'm happy with where we are. Now I put some aluminum foil over the tri-tip here, if you can see, to just protect it so it doesn't cool off too quickly, and also keeps any bugs or flies around from getting on it. Fortunately, there's none out tonight. It's a beautiful night. Also notice it is now dark. We started this process at 7 o'clock this morning. 7 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm hungry. All right, let's go ahead and get this off and move it over here onto the cutting board. And let me get my paper towel dispenser here. Careful not to make a big old mess. That's what I usually try to avoid doing. And so the reason I put this aluminum foil on this baking sheet here like this, just notice all the juice in there. I'm just going to try to be clean and not pour juice all over the place. And set that aside over here. I'll put my cutting board right here inside the tray. So now any juice that flows off of this is going to go into the cutting board. I suppose I could have just put the cutting board directly on that juice. I don't want to do that. So take our ThermoPro Temp spike out here. Now, just for the heck of it, let's go ahead and probe it with an instant read. This is the ThermoPro Lightning. A lot of ThermoPro stuff here. That's because they work really great and they're very affordable. So let's go ahead and see what kind of internal temperature we got. We're showing 138 there. Let me go a little deeper. Yeah, 136. There's 131 over here. 147 here, kind of going in the more narrow part. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a range. 136, 137. Cool. Now we know. I think it's time to cut this bad boy open. And let's see what we got inside. All right. So now on a tri-tip, you want to pay attention to the grain of the meat. If you look very carefully here, you can see the grain is running like this, right here, this way, and right here. It's all kind of coming across here this way. But if you move down the meat this way, you can see the grain is now switching direction. It's kind of coming like this. So really all the grain is kind of coming towards this point over here. So the issue is though, is if we slice across the grain here, we're good because the grains are running this way along the meat. So if we go this way here, we're good. But eventually we get to a point where if we keep slicing like this, we're no longer cutting against the grain, we're almost cutting with the grain, because over here, if we keep slicing like this, now we're literally cutting with the grain. So what I normally like to do is I like to pick a point right here in the middle, kind of following the grain here, and just go ahead and start by cutting it in half. Right there with the grain. And now doing that, we're also going to get a nice look at the inside. You can see here, we don't have too much well done around the outside. We do have a nice bit of some good, nice medium rare. This is how I like it. If you like it more well done than this, just cook it a little bit longer. Maybe take it up to 125 to start before you sear it. But that's where you get to go ahead and do whatever you like to do with your cooking. So we're going to set this right here to the side. And now here is the other point here, the fatter part here. Look at that. We've got some nice, I'm happy with that. That looks fantastic. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start cutting from right over here on the side, because on this piece, the grain is running this way. Now, if you want a really nice bite of this tri-tip, then you want to make sure you always cut against the grain. So I'm going to slice off a little bit of the edge here like this. You can see here, that's the well done stuff on the outside. All right. And now, tri-tip, depending on how you're going to serve it, you can slice it thick, you can slice it thin. If you want it for sandwiches, I recommend slice it really thin. If you're going to serve it more like as a kind of steak style, you might want to slice a little bit thicker. So here we go. Let's get into the middle of it. And we are looking fantastic. It's juicy and delicious. Oh my gosh. I like what I'm seeing here. That is beautiful. And let me just cut a nice thin one here. And I got to sample a little taste of this right here. Okay, let's have a look. There we are. It's just dripping with juice. Comes apart nice and easy. I like what I'm seeing. Now I'm going to get a bite, if you don't mind, all right? Bon appetit. Oh, that is freaking perfect. Might as well finish this little slice off here. Oh my gosh, that is good. Wow. That's how tri-tip is done. All right. So doing tri-tip on a Weber Kettle is so easy, and took about an hour and a half, I guess. Close to 2 hours from the time I really got started to time to eat. And we're going to go do that right now. It's time to eat. Thank you very much for watching. Any comments, questions, I appreciate that. Check the description for links and other information. And hey, I love hearing from all of you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tony. This is Tony Tone Barbecue. and have fun, my friends.